experience with depression and anxiety was my initial need to want other people to sort it for me.
Been times at which, of course, I've really hidden things.
And it's real life, and they get a different dad now.
So when we talk about our mental health challenges and going through that, what would you say was the biggest impact on your loved ones?
It's a really good question, because one of the issues I experienced with depression and anxiety was my initial need to want other people to sort it for me. I became quite childlike, and so there was a lot of pressure from me towards my partner that she needed to help me deal with this, that she needed to sort that. And that was a lot of pressure on her, and through therapy we've dealt with that. But I look back at it and realise that I became quite victim-y, and I became so desperate. You literally want someone to come and sort it out for you. And so that's a real challenging time. Even on a relationship, we've been married 27, 28 years, it's still really hard. It's hard to live with someone who's going through anxiety and depression. It really is. The other big impact it had was on my kids. And that's the stuff that sometimes I can still feel guilty about. But you have to realise that that's what happens. And so there's some quite sad episodes where my daughter asked her mum, my wife, why does daddy keep crying in the toilet? We found out my youngest son, Ted, went to school and ended up lying a lot. So I can laugh about it now, but he told his school teacher that his granddad flew the space shuttle, which is incredible. And the school teacher came out and said, could we invite Ted's granddad in to come and talk about the space shuttle? And we kind of explained that there is nobody in Britain that's actually flown the space shuttle, so it's not. But I learnt through therapy that to deal with difficult issues at home, young children will often tell lies to create their own new reality.
Yeah.
And my daughter needed some therapy at school because she was getting to a point where she was timing what time she got out of the house every day, because one thing she could control at home was time. And so that's quite hard to deal with. And you look back and you think, oh gosh, I really let those guys down. But they've had the help they need, and it's real life, and they get a different dad now. And they understand about mental health, and we talk about it really openly, and we do talk about that time to a point where my daughter sometimes says, oh yeah, I remember that time, Dad, when you were really depressed. And it's like, yeah, all right. Perhaps a bit soon for me, but we can talk about that openly, and I kids need to grow up in a real world.
Yeah, and it is real life, like you say, and I think not everybody is perfect. No one's perfect. And I think with your kids, they've probably grown up now and realise what real life is and what it's all about, because now you're getting through things as a family, and you say you talk about it very openly, and therefore that's overall that will probably positively impact them, because they won't get through the whole of their life without a challenge.
Totally.
So knowing that they've got their dad to come to is something that I think they've probably learnt from that.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because what I want my kids to grow up with is knowing that life does throw up curveballs. Life can be grim, it can be awful, but it's how you deal with them, and it's the tools that you've got to deal with them. And so what about you? Because you're kind of the other end of the scale. That's me with kids and a partner for a long time. You're I suppose still starting on your journey in life. What was the impact when you've been unwell on your family?
Well, I think the hardest. Well, let's go right back. So with the bullying and the mental health challenges throughout schooling, throughout my childhood, was really difficult, because parents aren't at school, family aren't at school, so you're taking all of those problems home that they might not know about, because you're not necessarily telling people about it at the time. So it took a while to open up, and my family for a while didn't know what was going on. I think I actually ended up going to the doctors initially on my own, because I was battling my own emotions and my family found my tablets and asked me about them, and it wasn't until then. It wasn't that I didn't feel I could talk to them. I absolutely knew I could, but it was that point at which I knew, okay, I don't need to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And my family have continued to absolutely make that known, that whatever you go through, you do not need to be embarrassed, you do not need to hide it, you talk, we get through it together. So I think it was the biggest impact on them was actually they didn't know for a while, and then it makes them feel guilty.
Yeah.
And that's not, then it makes me feel guilty, and it goes round in a circle because that's not what I was intending to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's like that with anybody, friends, family, partner. I've now grown up, and I think I know that everybody's there for me. They know that I'm there for them, and it's really important.
I mean, that's really powerful. Has your family always been like that? You never felt that they've let you down on your journey, not consciously, but they've always kind of embraced it?
Yeah, I actually don't think I've felt that way. There's been times at which, of course, I've really hidden things and wanted to talk, but felt I couldn't, but that wasn't because of them. I think you do often look for people to blame, but I couldn't pinpoint anyone. I sort of was really strong on the mindset and the fact that I was going to do it myself when I probably couldn't have, and I didn't in the end. But in terms of letting me down or looking at that, probably I can't pinpoint that.
Right. I mean, it's great if they didn't, if people really step up. That's amazing.
I think because I didn't tell anybody
Yeah.
at the start, and then the whole process and them finding out was quite different in comparison to yours.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. Looking back, I can't think of a time that I felt that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I probably am quite lucky about. Like I say, you do look for people to blame.
Yeah.
But I never, looking back, I never blamed. I couldn't find a person to, although I was looking. So yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
I went through something that I call toxic masculinity, and we read a lot about that, don't we? And how I see that is men who will blame other people for their problems. Look, it's their fault over there. Look, it's their fault. And you see that a lot with the Andrew Tates of this world and some of the extreme politicians that will be blaming those people for your problems and those people. And I think as guys we do that, and I did that a lot when I was poorly. So I didn't really blame people, but I got very frustrated that my wife couldn't help me more. She was doing an amazing job. I mean, living with someone with what I'd got was just awful. But you expect your family and your extended family and your friends, you want them. You're desperate for them to make you feel better. You become very selfish. It's almost a way to exist, and you're looking to blame other people. You're looking to say, well, why can't they help me more? Why aren't they doing that? And that becomes worse. And that just grows as you become more and more unwell. And so a lot of my therapy in getting better has been saying, it's not for your wife to make you better. It's not for your mates to make you feel better. It's not really your doctor's job just to make you better. It's about you. It's about you stepping up and having an inner belief and a core feeling that you can look after yourself. And there's lots of guys that I've met don't have that, and so when I look back, I'm quite embarrassed about how much I wanted other people to step up and support me, and at that time was blaming them. And it's one of the great things on my journey that I want to share with more people, that you need to become self-resilient. Yeah, and that's really tough.
Well, I think that's such a normal reaction to battling mental health, though. Looking for somebody to blame, looking for somebody to help. Yeah. It's such a normal reaction. Do you think that the pressure you were putting on yourself to get better, either through other people or yourself, was actually making it worse at the time?
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, Laura, because on the one hand, you put yourself under immense pressure to get better. You put yourself under this unbearable stress that I have to get better for those around me. I can't sit in being ill. Again, if I broke my leg and just sat there on a bed with it in plaster for 6 weeks, I could do that and watch movies till the end of time. But the fact it was an emotional and mental illness was that I just had this tremendous pressure on myself to get better, and that didn't help. It's a double-edged sword because there's a bit of me looks back and go, that's the stuff that drives you to get better. That's the stuff where you never sit there and go, I'm accepting I'm like this for the rest of my life. And I look back and think, that's the stuff that drove me to get better. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword because if you look back, you want to be able to accept you're unwell, and that's okay. But on the other hand, you also want to be able to say, don't put up with this.
Yeah.
4 lots of tablets still haven't worked. You need to go back again. You never stop knocking on those doors. And I say to guys a lot who contact me about their mental health, never stop looking for answers, because you can get better. And I know it can be incredibly frustrating, but you just have to keep going. You have to find that courage and that fight to just keep going, because you can't keep blaming other people. You can't. It doesn't do you any good, and it's not fair. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, like we said earlier, previously, that it's never a linear process getting better, is it? So I think that acceptance is really important, and it's not just about the acceptance. That's almost the first step.
Absolutely.